I'd like to call up on stage Mam Zine Nkukhwana, the CEO of Women in ICT South Africa, an amazing woman, a digital strategist. I'd like to also then call up on stage Lerato. In my head is "Don't touch me." Lerato, Dontache. Let's give a round of applause. The CEO of Thriving Magazine. I didn't mention it earlier on, but Selebogo Molefe is the founder of the Hookup Dinner. How many of you guys know the Hookup Dinner? I know I've been to the Hookup Dinner a couple of times, and I'll tell you a bit of a story. Marang, Marekimane, the CEO of Business Process Mechanic. So what we're going to do on stage is a Q&A. But I think for me, just to lay the foundation, to open up to this engagement, and I'll give them 5 minutes each to just talk about some of the stuff that they do. And the format really is going to be simple. I'll ask them, I'll give them the platform in terms of what do they do, engage on that. I'll ask them a couple of questions just to aggregate the conversation, and then I'll throw it to the floor. But the whole point to this is ask one question at a time. Make sure that you get the question answers. Do not sit up until you get the question answered. The second thing that, for me, that becomes critical, everything that you heard yesterday that you couldn't ask, that you heard today that you couldn't ask anyone, and everything that they're going to talk about, because these then become thought leaders, people that have got skin in the game, that have built amazing franchises that you can unpick, and I'll also then share a little bit of my knowledge. But just to touch on the importance of this, it becomes important because we sat here yesterday. Maybe we'll ask some questions. We're sitting here today. Some people are repeat offenders. But the whole point for me has always been, if I'm going to spend 5 hours, 6 hours, or 7 hours in a place, what's the whole point if I walk away with some of the questions I had? What's the whole point if I go back to my business but I'm still struggling with stuff? Then this becomes a perfect platform and an opportunity to unpack what are some of those things with a trigger that it might inform someone else, because maybe someone else is a bit shy, they're going through the same things. This then becomes an amazing platform for you to unlock some of the challenges that you're facing in your business. And yeah, so I'll give it up to the guys up front.
Molweni, Sanbonan. First and foremost, I have been hijacked by Bulelani to be here on stage. I was supposed to have been here yesterday to come and talk to you. But due to the strike of SAA, my flight was delayed for 6 hours. So I couldn't make it at all. So this morning, I decided to come and say hello. And when Bulelani sees me, well, he never wants to let go of me. My name is Zine Nkukhwana. I am the Chief Executive Officer of South African Women in ICT Forum, which is a national body that was formed in 2012 under the Department of Communications when there was still Minister Dinapule. I also run my own ICT company for 9 years now, which is Linda Mahle Management Systems, an ICT accredited body that deals mostly in skills development as well as systems development. We really look into the fourth industrial revolution. How do we bring people to get to understand what that is all about? But I want to talk about my role as the Chief Executive Officer of South African Women in ICT Forum. And I'd be glad actually to come and open a chapter here in Soweto. Bulelani, please talk to me about that, because I'm busy opening provincial chapters now. Maybe we should have a township chapter as well. I think the thing for me that I would just want you guys to let know is that when it comes to this space, ICT space, it's extremely male dominated. And our role as women, getting to understand where we feature. Everybody now is already talking 5G and we're still talking fourth industrial revolution in South Africa, but I can let you assure that people in the township as well as the rural provinces where we come from originally, they're still dealing with the issues of third industrial revolution. So if you listen to any interview that I do on Medium, that's the biggest cry that I talk of, that our people are still left behind. They're still talking third industrial revolution. They cannot even type on Word. We also talk the issue of access. If you don't have access into the internet, then how are you going to be doing anything as far as this fourth industrial revolution is concerned? I was asked to come and speak at the Pan-African Parliament recently, and I was talking to the whole 54 member states in Africa who are represented at that parliament. And everyone, all those countries, everybody is talking exactly the same thing. We are actually looked as South Africa as the ones who are leading, but we are not at all. It is a pity that I wasn't here yesterday to give you the actual stats of where we are as Africa, or as a developing country called Africa. Actually, all of the developing countries combined. Maybe I'll just give you a little bit, Bulelani, if you allow me, so that people get to understand where we are as Africa. Way back in 2005, you're looking at the ITU report, where we were in 2005, everybody, which is the developed countries, the internet access, they were penetrating it at 50%, 54%. In 2018, December 2018, on that report, they are penetrating it at 84%. Ask us where we are as the developing countries. So I need you guys to think very carefully if you are really talking about internet access and getting us to be there. If everybody is talking fourth industrial revolution, if you don't have internet access, which is supposed to be a basic human right now, and that's what I'm saying whenever I talk to the department, which is not. We are now seated as a developing countries at about 24%. Remember, developing countries include Brazil and them. We're seated at about 24%. You have to dissect that and go down to where we are as Africa. You have to dissect that and go down as well as where we are as South Africa. You'll be surprised. I said at Metro FM the other day at the tech show with Ayabonga Kawe, we were seated at 2.2%. You need to understand these stats. I have not even dissected that to get down to where we are as women in ICT. So with that mouthful, I need you to think where we are, and we need you to let us know what is it that we can do to assist to get the government, get us that internet access as a basic human right. Thank you.
Hi everybody, Lekai, Retengi, all right. So my name is Lerato, and Lerato Dontache, and I am a tech entrepreneur, and I run a technology business, originally from Mamelodi in the east of Pretoria. So I guess my entrepreneurial journey started in 2008 at the age of 21. And the whole thing is that I wanted to be independent because I saw my grandmother, my first inspiration. She was an industrialist, selling all sorts of things, taking care of her whole family, and I saw that as an inspiration, and I wanted to do that for myself. And I guess by the time I wanted to start, my first business failed. I was in the insurance sector. And in 6 months' time, I started a company called Ngatal. We're there at the back there, the orange company. And we're an ICT telecommunications company specializing in cloud communication. And I've been in that business for the past 9 years, as mentioned. And I guess in 2017 late, I got inspired to start a brand called Thriving because I wanted to start a community find a community of entrepreneurs that are like-minded. And I started the brand. It was a magazine. It failed fast and failed forward. And we converted the platform into a digital platform where we have entrepreneurs come onto our platform, meet like-minded individuals, and I guess host some events, and we do all sorts of things that empower other entrepreneurs because it's a community that we're trying to build that can enrich people, but using cloud technology to connect each other. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Sanbonan. Ninjani? Angiyazi nisuthi. Kathalekile. Igama uSelebogo Molefe. I represent a couple of organizations, one of them being the Hookup Dinner and the People's Fund, as well as the People's Stockfile. In a nutshell, we're in the space of building a culture of entrepreneurship across the African continent. We're in about 14 countries right now. And when we started this in 2012, it was out of frustration. We're not making money at the time, and things were tough, you know. We're going through a slump in business. I've been in business for about close to 20 years now. And I think that's where communities are built from frustrations. We get together because we've got similar frustrations, and then we start thinking about how do we solve these problems for ourselves. And I suppose it's an idea whose time had come because the hookup dinner in the last 7 years has done some really amazing things. I think you guys might have come across guys like Skinny Spoo Socks, Walk Fresh, or Tsepo Jean Makers, the Lazy Makoti. These are all young people who initially had ideas in the early stages, and they came onto our platform and they pitched their solutions. And it just so happened that it was the right environment at the right time, because we found people that could connect them to greater opportunities. I mean, you look at Skinny Spoo today, and he's in about 30 Markham stores. The Lazy Makoti's got the bestseller book in South Africa as a cookbook. And it's a continual journey for us. So what we believe in is first to build community, build a culture, and keep a very strong culture of entrepreneurship. And then secondly, capacity development. So we've got a great focus on education, got our own accredited content, and we run training and development programs across the country. And then thirdly, it's funding. And how we've gone about funding is that we tapped into the collective again, set up a crowdfunding platform called the People's Fund. Yesterday we had our awards where we're rewarding some of our suppliers and investors that have done some amazing stuff. So we've pivoted and focused on purchase order funding. By using technology, we've got a simple website called thepeople.co.za. You can check it out. If you've got a purchase order and you're looking for funding, we fund you at 6% of the purchase order value. And we disperse capital anything between 2 and 5 days. And investors get their money back in about 40 to 48 days. And we've seen some amazing traction happen through our platform because of this. And it's pushed us to keep asking questions. Our entire obsession is around problem solving. What are entrepreneurs struggling with on the ground, and how can we help solve these problems? Through the data we've collected, we've come to understand that of late, there's enough development programs, especially around enterprise development, but there's just not enough when it comes to market access. People are not trading, they're not getting the opportunities to trade, and in actual fact, multinationals don't want to do business with the average black entrepreneur, and that is the reality because we face it every day. And in how they do it, they onboard you onto our corporate value chains, and then they frustrate you with their payment terms, and then you close shop. Some of our biggest clients that we serve, we're finding that you're having to do 120-day invoice cycles, 135-day invoice cycles. This is corporate, and don't believe the hype. Government pays much better than corporate, and that is a fact. We're seeing it through our data. We're seeing it through the entrepreneurs that are paying back the money that they've borrowed for purchase order funding. So there's a lot of noise in the ecosystem in terms of what is happening, but there's also a great story to tell. I'm looking at Ubulelani with what he's doing in the townships. It's amazing. When I remember in the early days when we used to connect, you know, and I'm seeing this and I'm seeing the collaborations that are coming out. The only way that we can move forward is if we are doing business amongst ourselves and if we are funding each other here. So if we've got a purchase order, we've got to fund each other. Yeah.
Dumelang kaofela. My name is Marang Marekimane. I am currently the CEO of Business Process Mechanics, but I also have an online platform, well, I'm part of a team that has an online platform called Entrepreneurdy. My core focus is assisting entrepreneurs to buy back their time and their sanity. And I do this by, one, reviewing business models, which speaks to the many ways that you sell your products and services. The other way is by looking at your business processes, which speaks to how you deliver and delivering efficiently and at the right standard to make you more profitable and to scale your organization. I think in the past 6 years or so, my core focus has really been on facilitating access to market, access to resources, and access to finance for entrepreneurs. Now, Entrepreneurity is an online tool. It is a support program for entrepreneurs to learn how to convert your idea into a business model. But on top of that, it becomes a tool that you use to manage the growth of your business. And for me, it was quite important that we use this tool within the spaces of enterprise development, especially because I got frustrated with watching people go from one incubator to the next incubator to the next incubator being taught the very same thing, right? So I facilitate quite a lot with a lot of the corporates and with other brands, in fact, on their development programs. And so to see a person for the 5th time in a business modeling session just didn't make sense to me. And when you ask them, why haven't you carried on the journey with the previous corporate that was providing you with training, most of the time it is because that corporate doesn't have any visibility of you once you've left the program, so they don't know you, even though they claim that they've made you, they've been part of your success. A lot of the times you don't get the opportunities because they keep saying that we don't know what your business model is like, are you a sustainable business? And from the tool, we've actually been able to connect entrepreneurs to corporates purely on the premises that we have a documented track record of this particular business and this is where it is. And so when they want development training, it is not to take them back to business modeling again, but actually give them the next level up so that that business can particularly grow. My own personal journey, I've had a business since, I've had a couple of businesses, some of them failed and we don't even speak of today, but my very first business was actually a hair salon in a white neighborhood braiding white girls' hair. If there's anything that will teach me and teach anyone else about profiling and understand a customer need, it was exactly that story for me. The white girls didn't know where to braid their hair. I was the only black person in the neighborhood. It made sense that I start the factory, right? So that's how I actually started my first business. I have tried all sorts of other things. I've gone into app development. Before Sweep South was Sweep South, I actually had an app service that was connecting maids to, to households to run that business. I didn't have as much cash as she had, but I left that business. I have tried fitness boot camps, lots of learnings from actually starting a business and failing in that manner. I've successfully been part of a partnership for over 2 years that was doing customized clothing, and I left that purely because the partnerships, a good lesson learned about partnerships is that if you're not on the same page with your business partners, at some point you have to go and choose a side and split ways, right? But the business itself is still running in any case. I think I'm going to stop there and let people poke the questions otherwise.
So I think an interesting fact, right? One of the biggest inspirations, I think, back then to have started tea was the hookup dinner. A lot of people don't know this, but it was the hookup dinner. So, I think Selebogo and Pakiso are guys that inspire me insanely so. Because, for them to have been doing the work that they're doing selflessly is crazy. For me, it was crazy initially. But for me to have seen some of the other guys in the space as well doing what they're doing. But I think for me, one of the biggest things that stuck out was the quality, the consistency. But I'm going to have a specific question for you, sir. But I want to start this side. I want to aggregate it a bit. Why entrepreneurship, right? Because, the example I always make is entrepreneurship is like waking up each and every day in the morning and choosing to swallow crush bottles. But you do it every day, right? You do it every day. It's like it's a calling. Why did you decide to go into entrepreneurship? So when you hear Selebogo throw numbers up like 20 years, I'm like, shit. That's crazy. Why entrepreneurship?
I think the first thing why I wanted to become an entrepreneur is freedom. I wanted to run my own thing. I was creative enough to create products that I thought other people would want. And I went into the market, hustled, didn't get any funding, And I literally had to go door to door selling a product to different clients, and majority of our customers are about like Caucasians. So we had to go to industrial areas and sell the product that we sell. And for me, it has to do with the passion. You need to be convicted. You need to know why you want to do it. It's not about the money. It's not about any of those things that do come with the rewards of you starting a business. It's about you having a like your North Star. You know where you're trying to go in life, and you must stick to it. Don't do it for any other person except what you're trying to do. So that's the reason why I went into it.
Thank you. Ma'am Zine, so there's something that she didn't tell you guys. So she was the first black #1 tick and female. So there's no other black, whether male or female. Female company appointed by Google in the whole entire Africa to run Google skills throughout the whole entire continent. She didn't tell you that part. So my question then first is, where then does one of the things and I think I alluded to it yesterday when I was asking Umam Jude, you know, you look at someone like yourself, and I mean, the first time I saw you, very bubbly, I went through your resume, and then I thought, yo, this lady's too nice with such a big resume. As tough as it is, you are in multiple disciplines, and you're wearing multiple hats as the CEO of Women in ICT. What keeps you going, and what then becomes the inspiration behind running your organization and then still committing yourself to pushing women in ICT?
Bulela, wow. You know what, I think being an entrepreneur really is like a calling. It's something that you just can't help yourself. One of the few things that I tell people who ever ask me that question is that if you don't have the drive within you, if you think you are here to make money, then you are not an entrepreneur. Money will come. First and foremost, you need to find your purpose. What is it that you want to do? What? And I have a brand that I'm carrying. People don't understand about this. I have a brand that I'm carrying that is my name as well as my company and the organization that I stand for. So for me, coming and saying hello to Bulelani and to everyone was very important. Critical. Though I didn't have to come at all. I was not on the program. My day was yesterday, but I'm carrying that brand. And I have that respect for everyone that I work with, so that Bulelani, again, when he calls on me, he knows that I will be there. I will break whatever that's there to ensure that I am there. So those are the things that you need to do to have if you want that inspiration. I mean, the inspiration that I'm talking about. You need to have respect of the people, respect your brand, understand who you are, live your purpose, go out there and do the one thing that you know best. I say to everyone, do what you know, even if they wake you up at 2 a.m. and ask you a particular question about who you are and what you do, you'll be able to answer them. It's the respect, it's understanding people, it's really being down to earth and humility of saying that I will be there, reigning or not, even if I'm no longer on the program. That's the inspiration.
We should be looking at, we've got a bigger problem at play, and how do we solve it together? And can we have more people starting these things so that we can find these superstars in these little spaces? And as we find them, how do we support them so that some of the socio-economic problems that we have in this country, like unemployment, inequality, and all of that, they're going to be solved by us. It's not the big guy from the other side who's coming to save us. They're not. They don't have those problems. Where they wake up, the air smells different. You know, the oxygen itself. If you've been in the burbs, you get it. Like the air smells different. Just start there. There's less people. When you wake up, there's nobody playing Kumba Fire next door. You know what I mean? So how can that person come and solve your problem in the township where you are living in a 4-room house? I'm much better placed to solve that problem because I live with it. You know what I mean? So for me, that was the premise for entrepreneurship, that I'm an entrepreneur. I've been through mega failures and some great successes. And through that, how can I help impart this to other people around me, you know? Yeah.
I listen to Marang. It's like listening to a talk, but I'm taking it with a pinch of salt because of the truth she tells. Reminding me as an entrepreneur about systemizing. But I think I just want to understand. You know, when I hear the word, when first I came into contact with the word systems and process, you think it's a big word and you want to walk away. Because it really sounds like a big word, it sounds like a lot of homework, it sounds like a lot of work. How do I build systems? How do I understand it basically, number one? And how do I build them into my business as either an unknowledgeable or a small business that would want to build those systems and processes in? As a matter of fact, what are they even?
Okay, so let me put things into a bit of context. I studied IT. I used to work for corporates, mainly the banks and the insurance companies. And I was specifically in the software development department, right? And working in those particular corporates, a lot of the focus on the projects that I did was to move what was happening inside an office or inside a branch onto an online platform. So we moved from putting things onto the website to then putting things onto the cell phone. So, which is why you can do cell phone banking on an F&B app or whatever app it is, right? And I soon realized that in a corporate space, the reason an organization grows is because there is some sort of process and they're looking at always improving that particular process in order to remain relevant to their customer. We don't do that as small businesses. We overlook those things. But then when I speak about processes to small business owners, the panic is always, but I don't have a process in my business. Funny thing is, you do have a process. You're probably not aware of it. And a process, by simple definition, is just the way you do things, right? So my work is focused on not just the way that you do things, but there needs to be a workflow that actually saves you a whole lot of wastage in your business. And wastage comes in different forms. It could be waste of time, it could be waste of money, it could be movement that actually delays you in terms of how you're going to achieve a particular goal. And those are the things that are quite expensive for a small business. You kind of, especially if you're running as a one-man or one-woman business, right? These things are quite costly. So an example is you're not having a good day, you can't do the work that you need to do, so you sleep. There's productivity that is gone lost. But if you could actually automate that process, there could be a computer that is actually doing these things for you quite simply. Yesterday, I gave a talk about how we can use our website to actually run our businesses that is not necessarily hiring somebody. We can do stuff like booking meetings from our website. You can run your event management could be run from your website. You can get people to actually buy a product, quote themselves, and pay you all online, right, while you are sleeping. But we don't take advantage of those things because we assume that we need to be a large organization before we have processes into our world. And the reality is we do have a process. There might not be efficient processes. So when I go into people's businesses and we are automating the process, it isn't just about the entrepreneur just saving themselves time, but it influences how do you hire the next person, what kind of person do you hire into the business, when do you hire that particular person to join the business. It affects the kind of tools that you use in a business. Right now, we could be talking about different apps that run our businesses, but if I recommend one to you, it will be purely because it works in my world and I haven't necessarily assessed how relevant it is into your world, right? And then you get frustrated with the app because actually it's not relevant for you, but it makes sense in my world. But if we look at your business processes and how you work, the types of customers that you service, where you intend to grow the business, I could recommend an app that is actually going to grow with you, your customer, and the business as it proceeds, and saves you a whole lot of money. I think I've answered the question.
Hi everyone. Okay, I'm Tsepiso from Tembisa. I run a technological facility which mainly focuses on gaming, digital gaming. So my aim is to bring the fourth industrial revolution into the townships. So I'm glad that me and Mama have the same vision. And Mama, I'm looking forward to work with you. This is my business card. Yeah, so, and to everyone who has the same, it's not actually cliche. Okay, so, I was taking this platform. Okay.
I'm taking the mic. Because your mama magaphuma phela. I want 30 minutes yashaya. Ngiyakutshela. Sure. Who's got a question?
Okay, Sanmonan, my name is Menal Kuzwayo. Hello? Okay, I run a company called Blind Cocktails. It's a mixology service specializing in cocktails and mocktails at private events. It's a mobile service. So we have, as Blind Cocktails, thank you to the hookup dinner. We actually attended one of the events. Spook gave a talk. In March, in June, we opened our business. And then a year later, we started launching the new Sprite with Cucumber, actually making cocktails from that. And then today, as we speak, we've got a product from France, which we're busy testing out right here in White City. So a company approached us to test out their product and do cocktails. So my question is, how do we, as Blind Cocktail, compete in a global scale, whereby our aim is to go to events like Coachella, Ibiza? Those are the gigs we want as a township-based business, because that is the key essence of what people all over the world would like to experience. That is my question. How do we tap into that market?
Thank you so much. Any takers? You could share it as well.
I'll give you an answer, or at least attempt a shot at giving you an answer. I think we try too much to emulate what is going on the other side without taking into account what we could do with our own resources. So for instance, right, there's a lady at the back that they're making khamer. I had it in 10, right? Someone is making khamer at the back there. Nobody is thinking, let me use khamer in a cocktail, right? But the next person is going to be using stony ginger beer in a cocktail. Why can't we see that we could actually take something that is locally brewed, and by the way, khamer does become alcohol if you let it ferment long enough, but why do we not let these kind of things happen to us where we can actually make stuff that is an African cocktail, authentically African cocktail, make that and make an event around the fact that we've got an African cocktail, right? We tend to curate events that are going to then emulate what's going on in that other side. So we want a Beyonce to come here, but we want to celebrate our own artists, local artists, and give them that particular type of platform. For me, it upsets me because I think Mam Happy said it earlier about how we relate to our brands and the imagery around the brands that are locally made. So we need to take those kind of things and we need to find different ways of actually curating the event itself that even happens here. Last year, there was someone who was bringing the polo to Soweto. And what they failed to do was actually make it an African polo event in Soweto. They tried to make it more of what you see in a Santon Inanda, where, you know, people are sipping on champagne and all of those kind of things. But it wasn't the feel that was wanted locally here. When the event actually happened, it became more of, you know, people came to a hangout. And it wasn't the imagery of a polo. And we distort those kind of things. But what we need to do is actually say, okay, a polo can come here, but it needs to have an African feel to it. It needs to represent what is going on in Soweto. So the branding, the imaging, and everything around it should be about what celebrates Africa.
So I think Cookout Sunday, ne? That's the largest movement in South Africa right now. You know, they're pulling in about 11,000 about Tabang, right here in the hood. Cookout Sunday, and therefore forget Coachella. It's too far-fetched, you're going to spend too much money there. But you've got something here in the hood that you can tap into. I'm a cheater that you can actually call up, that you can meet up now, like a white seat or something with Buffet. How do I plug in? You know what I mean? Locally brewed, the biggest buying market for black consumers in the townships. That's why everybody's talking township entrepreneurship. It's because they're trying to extract out of the township. Maune 1 rand, bafuna 50 cents aliyo 1 rand to take out of the hood. But you are here, you have an opportunity to kind of tap into that in a different way. You know what I mean? Why? Because you've got the intel and the insights of what's going on. Cookout Sunday is killing it. 11,000 people per event. They're doing them quarterly. They used to do them every month, but they've become that big. We started exactly the same thing in Cookout Sunday in Zimbabwe. We're doing 3,000 people per month. I'm just simply saying the power lies with you. If you're a mixologist and you're doing some dope stuff locally, then start a movement of mixologists, of people similar to that environment who get it, and study what's happening globally in terms of patterns, but stick to what's happening in terms of local flavor. The money is here. It's not out there. Hola?
As much as I think we've already said a lot on this, I think I need to add, as I'm listening to my fellow panelists here, I think I need to add. You probably see that I'm a bit more matured, so it means I'm traveled and I've seen. I think based on what Bulelani has added about what I was doing, part of the things that I've done, it has just given me an idea that I must respond, on this one. My company was the first, not black, the first female-owned company that Google partnered with throughout Africa to impart digital literacy skills to unemployed youth and entrepreneurs, the whole of Africa. I'll tell you the reason why I'm mentioning this is that at the time that I was working with them, I got to see, like my sister is saying, that we like emulating things that are coming from elsewhere. So I started, involving and talking to them that the content that they were bringing is not talking to somebody who also could go down in the Eastern Cape. It is not talking to somebody who's seated at the White City above Soweto. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So we should stop these things of wanting, the things that are coming from. There's nothing wrong with you being ambitious to really reach those heights, but there are things that are happening right here. In the Eastern Cape, I'm coming from an annual ICT summit that was happening in the past 3 days down in the Eastern Cape in East London, where I was also speaking at. And I was so glad to see that youngsters like yourself have actually built their own OEM. Things that we don't have in here at all. Things like your Microsofts and them are OEMs, and Oracles, they are OEMs. We need our own OEMs instead of really just tapping into other people. I thought, let me just add that one, that we really have the skill, we really have the capacity. All we need to do, and I'm pushing that from where I'm seated, and I'm talking to the ministers, I'm talking to whoever cares to listen, that we need support. We need to get the very OEMs that are operating, these multinationals that are operating here in South Africa, and I've got an experience of working with them to conform and give us the necessary support as well as the skills.
Manje mamzo, yini OEM? An ICT. Okay, thank you. Hey, Tepo, know it all.
Is there no ICT person here?
Yes, sir. Could we please pass? Oh, no, the lady.
Okay, my question is Marang, ne?
Okay, sure.
Marang, ne? You mentioned Uguchi as a business. If you can't function, you are able, there are apps that you can use to automate your business. Because I sell my products through WhatsApp and Facebook. So what app can you suggest for me that can do the process, like of selling, automatically, that kind of thing?
What kind of products do you sell, ma'am?
I sell ladies' bags. And purses, and long reach products.
And you sell mainly through Facebook and WhatsApp?
Yes.
Okay. So on Facebook, it actually allows you to have a marketplace, and people can click buy, pay online, and you can arrange delivery. So you get a notification that says Marang has ordered a handbag via your Facebook page, and then I've paid for it, and then you must just arrange delivery from there, right? So assign the abu how much and whatever, you gotta put everything must be in there. So we lose out on Facebook sales because I still have to ask you how much, right? If I still have to ask you how much, chances are you've lost a whole lot of clients in between because some of us don't even have time to ask you how much. I'm going to look at it, like it, and then move on. But if you want me to buy, make it easy and obvious for me to buy. So put there, the price must be there, have the buy now button, click there and make it you pay online and you move on. Via WhatsApp, you can use, there's a platform called If This Then What, Then That. What it allows you to do is that it allows you to build a logic that connects two apps that were not otherwise connected. So you can connect that person on Facebook, on WhatsApp, because I've given you an answer for Facebook, but on WhatsApp, I can give you a link and say, go create a quote, right? So do you have a website?
No, I don't have a website yet.
Please go on to godaddy.co.za and create one off of there, because then you can link that WhatsApp message onto your website and the person can, and then link it to Wave app. By doing that, you allow the person to create an invoice for themselves just by ordering for the product, and then you get an email, and then from that email, you will organize delivery, right? So, but by then, I have paid for the product and it's already there. Again, you're reducing the opportunity of losing me as a customer.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great.
There's a gentleman in front, and I think one of the things I'd want to ask, maybe when we end this, what are some of the platforms SMMEs can use, free or not, similar to some of the ones that you've mentioned, digital tools that they can use to grow their business? So maybe at that point you can do 3322, whatever is there, so that we can share that knowledge as well.
Good day, everybody. My name is Colin Maleke. I'm from Soweto. I'm from Patron Food. So my question is based on why in ICT we have so many dynamics. We don't have a stable, like static. We things keep on changing time and again and again and again. So let's say if says Lerato, as I'm from, I have a company called Patron Food. If let's say I outsource the service from you, and then we have a contract that will say, please bring your team, do certain service for me, then I'm going to pay you, and then you pay your team. So what makes these small corporates keep on changing tomorrow? Then I'm no longer preferring you. Now I'm preferring Maraga, and then Maraga, she comes with a team, then they do the work for me. Then 1, 2, 3, and then her team is giving her a problem there. They are moving to somewhere else. Now she's no longer having a team that is doing the service. So what makes that? Because I've seen in most of the corporate, some of the corporate, you find that my corporate now is getting big. I'm no longer preferring this Lerato. Now I'm preferring dimension data. Why we don't go together and grow together? What makes that to keep on changing all the time?
Clarity, right? You want to understand why corporates keep changing suppliers. Is that the question that you're asking?
My question is, I am running Patron Food. Then I don't specialize with ICT. Your company specializes with ICT.
So you
then
said, okay.
I decide, you know what, I don't want ICT team in my company. Then I decide, you know what, I want to outsource this service from you. And then you and your team must do a service for me. So then my question is, why we don't have why we don't grow together as my business is growing? Why we don't grow together and stop changing? Now I'm no longer preferring you, I'm preferring my sister there. And then tomorrow I'm no longer preferring my sister, now I'm preferring dimension data. Why we always we see that?
Anyaguzwa no. Let's give him a round of applause.
If you are going to be wanting, as you're starting your journey, you want to be owning the latest Range Rover, you're going to be missing the point. Set realistic goals and understand for a fact, I think all four of us seated here, we can attest to the fact that we have failed many times. We have actually been without a cent in our names. We've had to sell some of the things that we've had. If I was telling someone backstage that if as an entrepreneur you have not ungabi nayo 100 rand in your wallet, then it means you're still rich. You have to understand that there will come a time that you don't even have 100 rand and you are seated at a mall with the car that you are driving, which is the old one, everything else you've sold, and you are praying that by the time you leave the mall, your card, your parking ticket still works because you don't have the money to pay for that. If you have not been there, then it means that really you are still, your journey is still quite there. So all of us, we have been in here, set those goals, get the support that you want, tell people that you really are just trying to make ends meet. You stay sane in your head. Tell yourself that, like I said, money will come. It's not here now. It will come. And it's not about the money. It's about you making a difference and living the purpose that you have set for yourself.
So, the gentleman at the back.
Sorry. Hi.
Oh yeah, she wants to just add something.
she's adding.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something to that point, right? As entrepreneurs, the world becomes lonely because raswaba. And when I mean by huswaba, I mean that we go through tough times and then haribui. Ne? So you're sitting, like Mama says, you're sitting at the coffee shop there, you don't know how you're going to pay this thing, but you won't reach out to anybody to tell them that this is the situation that you're in. If there's one thing that you can do for yourself as an entrepreneur is actually learn to speak up about what you are going through. And a simple exercise, I was at the back there, and I'm stuck. She doesn't take card payments. I had 10 rand 80 cents, 10 rand 80 cents. So kishotaka 1 rand 20. Like literally, kishotaka 1 rand 20, right? The Mpo, where's Mpo? Mpo was around me, he heard me. He's like, okay, you know what? There he is. Mpo Lumsariwa hired to me that they overhearing me complain about Akina 1 rand 20, Kishotaka 1 rand 20. And I said to the lady, Kate, like, try batla 1 rand 20, but I'm coming back for this thing, right? Mpo and his wife are looking through Budi Pese. I took her last 1 rand 20. She gave it to me, but on top of that, he threw in a bag of biltong. And it's a small thing. It really is a small thing. Lerato spoke about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, right? I belong to 3 business clubs that are very informal clubs. It's women across all of them. I don't know, maybe it's something about us women that like to gather and talk. But out of those 3 informal, I call them accountability circles. So whenever we meet up, we are checking up on each other. Selebogo, last month we said, did you do it? Because it keeps you in check. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Did you make the money you said you were going to make? Because you set a target for yourself. Did you reach that target? If you didn't reach that target, how can we help you reach the target next month? And it forces us to be intentful about how we refer business to one another. We know each other's businesses so well that I call myself the pimp to all of their businesses because I can pimp them out any given day. I know their price point, I know what kind of customers they're looking for. So when I refer them, I know I could easily fifing. And that person is going to get either some sort of interaction that's going to lead to a sale at some point in time. But we fail to speak up about our challenges. We are thinking too much about but I tell you, actually, your world changes when you start saying, guys, I can't actually meet salaries. I've got salaries to pay, I can't do it. Last month, we were helping somebody pay VAT. Like, 100 rand, 50 rand to raise 26,000 rand for her to pay her VAT so that a client can pay her because the tax clearance was incorrect. So if we don't talk about our problems don't change. Please, stop about the things that actually ache us in our problems, in our businesses.
My name is Thabo Sydney Wahamoreusil. I own a company called Memorandum. What we do is student in university undergraduate, they will submit a question paper to us for the previous 5 years. We will then get people within that space to be able to then give us answers to those question papers, and we then hand them through to those students. It came out of frustration when I was studying. I couldn't get answers for my question papers, so I created that. My question is to all of you, how do you stay afloat when the business is not making any money? When you fail, how do you fail forward, and how quickly should one do that?
Thank you so much. Let's move the mic to this gentleman over here. So I'm going row by row just so you understand. Laba baleti sobone isikhathi savo. Yes, sir.
I've seen quite a few pitches in my short lifetime. Our platform has done over 10,000 pitches. One of the bigger problems we have, we don't stay focused on solving a consistent problem that actually people have. So in the space of students, there's something that students are willing to pay for. The moment they're not paying, you're not solving the problem. You know what I mean? And that must be your guiding light. That's what we must fall in love with. Solving the problem and getting paid in return, and leave charity out of the window for a moment and just focus on, here's the service I'm providing for you, here's how much it's going to cost you. And if the client does not see value in exchange and willing to take money out, you're solving the wrong problem. It really is that simple, because the customer votes with their pocket. It's not a grant. They don't care about your 1,001 problems around what you have got to go through for you to have come to this stage. They don't care. They've got their own problems. And if you can help solve that particular problem, they will pay you for it. And we've seen it so many times. Whenever we've lost sight of problem solving in our business, we've seen the ditch in a major way. And the moment you've come up again and started solving, we're done. The customers will pay you. Yeah.
Just as an add-on to that, right? You got to find multiple ways of selling the same product and service. And the moment you do that, it's very hard to see a dark day. So right now, your service is very linear in the sense that you've got a question paper, I need answers to that question paper, I just want to get the answers, right? I've understood what you do correctly. But if you actually went a little bit further, I wish you did that like an hour ago with the light. I'm almost half blind now. But if you actually look at the patterns in which people are asking for those question papers, right? So what kind of subjects are actually the problematic subjects? What kind of things, where are people getting stuck within those subjects? Then you can look at, do I provide afternoon sessions for those students or online programs for those students to actually close the gap for where they are failing, right? There is research that could come out of that platform that you're using. Use that data to actually enhance either the curriculum. You can speak to perhaps, you know what, we've noticed that students from this particular area in this particular school are suffering with a maths problem. Is there something that's happening from a teacher perspective that the lesson is not getting down to the student, or student is struggling somehow to grasp what the teacher is then saying, which is why we see problems in that particular area. Now that's 3 different ways that we are now selling the exact same thing, and it has different audiences. We tend to get stuck on having just one customer and one customer profile. But yet we want to get a corporate to service the other customer, or the other customer to feed the other customer, you know, to solve our funding dynamics. But if you realize that to each and every one of those audiences, you're actually selling a product or service, create that value add, package that value add, and keep selling it, and then you will find that your ups and downs are not going to be at the same time, given the way that you're selling it, right? So if the selling of the question paper is going down and it's quiet, your classes might go up in one session on the online side, the data research might actually go up as you keep creating the value for your clients. Have I answered your question? Cool.
My name is Mukhuri Sambo and I am the author of Infinite Teen. I am a teenager who's basically empowering teenagers out there to live beyond the boundaries. So recently I actually took, I'd say, a wider view of where I come from, which is the village. And I've noticed that the thin line between my success and many of the failures is not resources but information. So Mam Khumalo, I heard you speak about the fourth and the third industry. And I was fascinated. Basically, I would like to know, Infinite Teen right now has started a project of donating books, study guides, and anything related to, that donates information towards the village. We are on a plan of starting a library. So we are trying to cover up basically the gap of the third industry in terms of reading and writing. And I would like to know, before we reach the fourth industry, how can your program actually help us to fill in the gap of the third industry?
Well, I'm impressed because you are so young, and the fact that when we started talking, we all went here. We were yes boy. Silently said that in our house. We actually, me and my fellow panelists, we started smiling because this is what we are looking for. Because the future is in your hands. The over 40s like myself, we are going down there now. We need people like you to be the ones who are leading this country. I'm Nkukhwana, not Khumalo. It's Nkukhwana. Listen, baby boy, we South African Women in ICT Forum, of which we have a website that's called SA Women in ICT Forum. If you check it now, you'll find that it's a bit down. We are still busy revamping and taking out other programs that were there and putting the new ones. Part of the things that we do really, we advocate for the inclusion of everyone. Yes, we're looking mostly at women's inclusion, but we're also looking at everybody else as well. And the fact that I've met you now, I've noted you, and I like what I'm seeing, because this is what we want. You can follow me on Twitter, and you can follow me on Instagram as well. I'm just simple Z4, and then you can start talking to me there. Yes, we're going to be bringing the programs, particularly in the townships, as well as the rural provinces, that deal mostly with the fourth industrial revolution. But we are saying, how do we get to the fourth industrial revolution when people cannot even type on Microsoft Word? So we are in partnership with Microsoft, we're in partnership with Cisco, we're in partnership with many of these again, OEMs, and I'm going to get you guys to Google what OEM is. I'm not going to tell you what that is, though it is an operating equipment manufacturer. So now you know Bulelani. So we are looking at those things, and we want to hear from people who are coming from the townships. What is it? Because we say to the minister, we can't rush and be talking about data scientists. They are looking for 1 million data scientists by the year 2030. Where are those data scientists going to be coming from if we do not have, people don't have the basic computer literacy, which is what Ekaya don't have, and where you come from as well. So these are the things that we are talking about. We have actually, I have engaged with UNISA. I was asked to give a keynote address recently at UNISA, and part of the things that I had said to the Vice Chancellor, I need them to look into changing the curriculum, to talk into what the jobs of the future are. Whether we like it or not, the jobs of the future are changing. We are talking artificial intelligence, we're talking robotics, we're talking all these big things. But my people cannot type on Word. My people don't know what PowerPoint is all about. My people don't have that internet access. So please follow us and get so that we can start talking, and you get to see what is it that we want to bring. And the more I get this information from whoever, the more we are trying to open those provincial chapters or even the township chapters, like we promised in the Eastern Cape. Now, like I'm thinking also here in Soweto. So we need to understand where you come from, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, anyway, because we're operating nationally. We want people to have the basic computer literacy skills before we talk fourth industrial revolution. Have I answered you, boy? Okay.
Chilwes Ginger Pierre. Now, from everything that has been said, the information that we got today, I think I've learned so much I don't want to feel saturated, but I just want to mention one thing that is outstanding for me. The fact that we have learned, or I have learned, that as a business, you need to give what people want. So I think you're very thirsty and tired this time. I brought some hammer here. I wanted to sell it, and there hasn't been no time to sell. So I'm going to say we're going to give our speakers on the floor free bottles, and then perhaps the other people here can buy them at 5 rand so that I can cover my costs. Everyone in the house, on your way out, because I don't want to disrupt.
How many bottles do you have, since you're so generous? How many bottles do you have of the khmer?
That I've sold.
No, that you have left.
Left, I think I have about 30.
I'll buy all of them.
Yes.
Don't give them out for free.
Okay, that's my offering.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Setu Sbongwawam Tembu, and I own a company called Ikapelo Project, which what I'm trying to do is to open an IT project management company. And thank you very much, Uma Mane, for saying that she's trying to open a township chapter for the townships. And I personally would like to know, how do I get involved? Because you'll find a gentleman who are going to say, hey, people are changing suppliers all the time. That's because what people are learning in school and what's coming out of the universities, it's what used to work before. People are still learning what you call the waterfall project management way of working. Right now, companies are going agile. They're talking Scrum. It's automation, fourth industrial revolution. So, ma'am, how do we get the townships to learn those types of working for the future? Because you might have a great idea right now, but because you're not the first in the market, by the time you go into the market, you'll find that somebody is there, has already done what you're doing. How do we teach these companies which are here the new ways of working that companies, which banks like Abu, FNB, ABSAs are doing right now? Because all the companies are going agile. But when you go to the universities and colleges, they'll teach you to develop a software that will take you 6 months to complete. By the time you're done, somebody's already done it, is already in the market. We've seen it with banking apps. You'll find that ABSA was the first one to bring a banking app, but or send mali or e-wallet. But because FNB was the first people to market it and people knew about it, everyone knows Gutini. E-wallet came with Elon, FNB. So, Mama, to wrap it up, Mama, how do we get these people here who've got such great ideas to work in the ways of the future and stop working the ways that we used to learn in universities? Thank you very much, ma'am.
With other people and finding yourself amongst the whole debris that is happening out there, otherwise you're going to miss out on things. So in short, there are organizations like the one that I'm leading right now, South African Women in ICT Forum, that you can belong to. Please keep on checking our website. It's being upgraded, and then you will find the membership. We actually have a membership that is almost free, and we are debating whether should it be completely free or should be just a little bit free, because sometimes when we have these very free memberships and then people don't take it seriously, but we are debating as the board. That's where we put a lot of things. That's where we get people to understand what is going on out there, and you keep abreast with the things that are happening. And if you don't belong, I think most of us in here, we belong to so many organizations, we've lost count, simply because we want to understand what is going on out there. You are not going to be competing with your banks when you don't have any knowledge of what is going on. Information is key, and you can only get information when you belong somewhere. So follow us and get to understand how do you get involved in South African women. And don't be fazed by the women part of it. It is our name, but we're looking at everybody else, and we'll be coming and opening a chapter here in Soweto.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Molefe. The company is Pinara Handcrafted Belts and Shoes. One thing I've learned, and I'm going to take it with, is collaboration. So my question goes to my cousin, I'm joking, to Selebogo Molefe. What I want to know, as we all know that a good pair of shoes with a good pair of jeans and belts goes well together. So if we want to, let's say, collaborate with Tshepo, the jean maker, can I ask for advice? How do we approach, or how do we market, or how do we go to him and say, we've got very nice, can you please bring me the shoes and the belts? We have very nice shoes, we have that goes with the belts, because we believe that you have to match your shoes with your belts. So if you want to go to Tshepo, how do we approach, or how do we market ourselves? Thank you.
They're pretty dope. No, I see it. Look, I don't have a straight answer because there's never a one size fits all. But hop over to Tshepo's store. It's always there. I think it starts with a conversation. And when you get that, don't sell. Start a conversation so that you understand him first, you understand where the gaps are, and then you can see whether what you want to do with him fits. Because sometimes we want to force collaborations where they actually don't work. It's like dating. You can date, but it doesn't mean you're going to marry each other. You know what I mean? So there's that to think about.